Good afternoon YouTube, Ian here from Coolice Charge Case and Power Supplies. I've got another quick video to show you of a case. Now this one came to me, the customer approached me with this case and said, Ian, I've already got a charge case. It had two ISDT T6s in it, I think, or it had a single one at least anyway beforehand. And obviously a homemade deck, which he was obviously quite happy with at the time, but then he wanted to change the layout and in this case fit 4 ISDT Q8 chargers into it, and instead of obviously making the deck himself, he said, Ian, if the price is right, I'd like you to do it for me, please. So I said, sure, not a problem, let me have a look, see what we can come up with. And sure enough, I came up with a price, and the customer then gave me the go-ahead to go for it. So to start with, obviously the case came with the power supplies already located in the bottom, and in this case they are two converted HP 1200 watt units, so it's a 2400 watt 25 volt 100 amp power supply setup in there. I changed the IEC connector on the side. Originally the aperture was cut out just to allow one of the Y lead adapters, and I can obviously reach behind me here and get it because obviously excuse me, I've replaced it. That was the lead obviously the customer was using originally, so the 1:2 adapter he'd obviously cut into the side, and obviously then just it was a good friction fit at the side. He'd done quite well actually, so it held it in place. But to be a little bit more different and obviously a little bit safer, I decided to replace it with an IEC, and obviously then I've used crimp connectors on the other end, so that'll be relegated to my spares bin. Also on this side he fitted an XT30, and that's connected to the 12 volt output of the first power supply, so he can then charge his V control. And at the front it obviously fitted 4mm banana posts in the front there, which I obviously had to remove and put back in place. The black bezel on the negative output, where he'd actually heated the back end of it to allow the nuts to kind of like press into the plastic a little bit, it obviously damaged this, and obviously then for me to try and get it out I created a bit of damage, which I did on the positive as well, but I managed to file it out. And then the 3D printer, then I 3D printed another little bezel there just to make that good, which was perfect. And obviously the red, luckily I didn't have to touch that, because actually no, tell a lie, I think I do actually have some 3D print in red, which I could have done, but I didn't need to. On the left, it's obviously very, very tight in there. You won't see it now on the video, but the pictures I will stick on the end of this video, you'll be able to see just how tight it is in here. It's a great case for compactness, but it did instill me with a bit of doubt as to whether temperature wise this case will stay within safe realms. And obviously the proof of the pudding will be when we eventually actually have it in use. But this was the case the customer wanted to stick with. He'd obviously cut the fans in. I'm going to see if I've got some steel grills. These are 40mm fans, and I think I may have a couple of steel grills, and if I do I'm going to bolt them in place. That'll just finish off this end, but the customer obviously bolted them in place, or actually hot glued them in place, and they work well. So, and again the photographs on that, it will show you where they are in relation to the power supplies inbuilt fans, and they are literally right behind them. The space is very tight in there, so they actually fall right behind the power supply, which is perfect. As the hot air comes out of the power supply, brought out by their integral cooling fans, gets thrown into these ones and then ejected out even quicker, which is even better, so that's good. On the other side, obviously now I can quickly, customer drilled a line of holes at the bottom. Power supplies are upside down, so they'll draw cooling air in from here. I did just go around and I've got my little deburring tool. I just run it around each of the holes, which is obviously given the little bit of the beveled effect there, just takes the edge off a little bit from the drilled holes. So literally the cold air will be drawn in through the power supplies and then straight out the back, which is good. So without further ado, it's obviously a Pelican 1300, it's obviously upside down. I'm going to perhaps do one of my little lasered plaques on here in a bit, just to finish it off. Let's pop the two catches. You can see customer also put 2 air holes in there as well, or 2 sets of air holes under the latches. Again, every little helps. Let's open it up, and voila, very, very, very tight, but I've managed to do it. And we've got two 3D printed charger cradles here, so we've got a bank of two here. So there's a charge cradle on the deck, and you obviously got the 6 mounting bolts that bolt that to the deck. Gone back again to a laser cut deck. Wanted to keep the price down on this case, so a laser cut deck, very quick, very simple. And then obviously the most time consuming part of that realistically is then applying the vinyl and then cutting out the panels by hand, because obviously the laser can't really burn your average vinyl, unfortunately, because it would release PVC, or because it contains PVC, so it releases very nasty gases that will not only damage your machine but also damage your lungs. So I'm not going to do that in a hurry. So we also then created designed and printed up some 3D printed holders for obviously the 7-pin JST XH for the 6S balance port, and obviously an XT60. So obviously then that brings out the connections on each charger. So on this side it's simple, comes out the side and straight up. Again, distance constraints, size constraints there meant everything's quite compact, and indeed, again, in one of the photos you'll see later, the gap between the power XT60 on this charger, on these two should I say, on this right hand side bank, and the charger outputs on this side it's only about 4 or 5 mil gap. I worked it out just right, so I'm quite pleased. And then we've got the same on this side, so we've got a pair of ISDT Q8s on this side, and again the 3D printed holders. You should see a little bit more again in the photos at the back, at the back of this video again, sorry. I've lined it up actually, so as best as we can. Obviously the charger will obviously try and draw cooling air in from the front, and the air slot then is here again. So following on from my previous ISDT charger cradles and the decks, hopefully it will draw some cooling air in from the front. It will loop round through the charger and then out the back. The forward slot then is in line then with a fan on the back of the ISDT, so it should hopefully then come up the hot air, and it's the same on this one. And then on this side as well, we've also got cooling air in for the rear ISDT Q8, and again hot air coming out the back. And I've shaped the back ducting, if you like, to try and promote the air to literally, rather than hit a brick wall and then just procrastinate, for want of a better word, behind the charger, it should hit it, and it's curved and it's nicely angled, so it should just hit it and flow straight up. And touch wood, I haven't seen anything too far yet, but the proof of the pudding will be when these chargers are put under good load. So as you can see, nice simple case. The lid, originally this lid was obviously hacked away a little bit more. I've gone around with the Dremel yesterday and just smoothed it out as best as I can. It just makes it a little bit neater for me. I'm a bit of a perfectionist when it comes to this kind of thing, and the charge cases, they've got to look good, and if they don't, I'm not happy. So I couldn't have, in all honesty, sent it out without it, and some of the earlier pictures might show you it. It's smoothed out a little bit as best I can, but overall I'm quite pleased with how it's worked out. Let me power it on and all the chargers will come online. I did put a buck converter on the 40mm fans, because obviously anyone that knows these kind of PSUs, when those fans do run at full chat, they are quite loud. The smaller fans always are, so they turn at very high RPM. So instead of getting the full 12 volts, I think they're getting around 6 to 8 volts. I haven't measured it, to be honest. I just connected them up and turned the little trim pot down until it sounded something a little bit more usable, that you could live now, or that you could livable would be a better word to use. There's no fixings for the deck to keep the deck down, so it's just literally friction. And again, there is a bundle of wires under there, so it's just not perhaps quite sitting as low as it should, but it's holding itself in place quite nicely. And of course, when the lid is closed, it's not going to go anywhere, so I'm quite pleased with that. But I think overall, the spec, or should I say the challenge that I was given, has been met. It looks good, admittedly. I think in hindsight, I probably would have used a slightly bigger case, and I did recommend that initially, but the customer was adamant, no, that's the case I want to stick with, Ian, please can we do that, and I've made it happen, so I'm pleased. And the good thing is, I can then transfer this same design over to the slightly larger case. I've been looking in the background on what case I would use next time, and I found it. So I may actually build another one, perhaps have a go myself, perhaps even just grab hold of 2 ISDT Q8s and put them in a smaller case again as well for my own personal use. But I think it's worked out quite good. If you think the same, please like, share, comment, you know, and as per normal, if you need any charge case built for you or a kit, let me know. Thanks for watching. Take care of yourselves. Speak to you soon. Bye bye.